Welcome to Subaru's new corporate fascia. This is in fact the 2006 Subaru B9 Tribeca, Subaru's first foray in the midsize SUV segment. Now, this grille, you may not like it, you might like it, I'm starting to like it quite a bit. You will have to get used to it because you will find it on all of Subaru's new products, starting with the B9. Now the Impreza has it already, and soon the other models will as well. Base price for a 2006 Tribeca is $41,995. This is in fact the model that I am test driving, which is a 5-seater basic, no leather. And the top price will reach $52,495, and that will give you a 7-passenger configuration, leather and navigation. Under the hood of the B9 Tribeca, you will find a 3-liter flat 6 or horizontally opposed 6-cylinder engine, also shared with the Outback. It develops 250 horsepower and 219 pound-feet of torque. The only transmission which you can get with the B9 Tribeca is a 5-speed automatic that has a manual mode. That may be my only concern at this point in the B9 Tribeca's short life, where it tends to hesitate between first and second and third gear. However, when it's nice and warm, shifts are quite smooth. Now, a 3-liter is actually very rare nowadays under the hood of an SUV. Everyone's going 3.5 liters and up. But I must say that at first I thought maybe 219 pound-feet of torque were going to be insufficient to move a 1,900 kilogram, say 4,200 pound SUV. But it does a great job, and as the revs rise, still pulls very, very well. Something I always enjoy is a nice firm brake pedal, and I was impressed, or I am impressed, by the braking capacities of this truck. Braking distances are quite good. Now, the B9 Tribeca shares many of its mechanical components with its Legacy and Outback sisters. Now, what that means is that it will borrow a lot of its components, namely the engine transmission and some suspension components. However, in this case, they are of a heavy-duty design. Well, what is very interesting is that the handling capabilities of this truck also may be helped quite a bit by the 255/55 18-inch tires and wheels. There's very little body roll in the curve, and grip is pretty good. I have to say, I expected less from it, but so far, I should have, held my tongue. Otherwise, the drive is pretty good. The suspension is a little bit dry. It doesn't have as much wheel travel as, for example, the Forester. So you can tell maybe that the Forester is designed to be a little bit more comfortable, and this one has maybe a slightly sportier edge to the entire package. It's a nice drive. There are a few rattles inside the truck, but overall it's a very solid chassis, and it feels nice and robust. Other than Subaru's excellent symmetrical all-wheel drive system, which is known worldwide for its efficiency, and I can attest to that, the other most interesting aspect of this vehicle is the interior design. Now, the choice of the materials is good in general. Fit and finish is acceptable or better. Some of the textures are okay, but it actually is a little bit cheaper than maybe it should be in a vehicle of $42,000 and more dollars. Now, what I'm talking about, the design and the layout of the dashboard, is kind of a cockpit where it wraps around the two front passengers. The center portion is obviously the most interesting one. The knobs for the HVAC controls are around. However, you just have to push down to one side or the other to increase the fan speed or the temperature. It's very nice, and there's a nice red glow the way it's backlit at night. It's a very nice touch. Same thing for the gauges. They light up red. It's very nice. In the center upper portion of the dashboard is the LCD screen where navigation would normally be. In this case, you have the radio indicators and the ventilation indicators. The seats, fairly comfortable, although the seat back itself is a little bit harder than I would have liked, and I can actually feel some of the frame portions in my back. The second row, very comfortable. There's a lot of leg room. However, in the 3-row model, I would think that the back seat will be reserved especially for children or as a symbolic gesture from Subaru, only to offer something that is competitive with the others. Overall, the interior is quite nice. I'm not so certain about this yellowish tan color, but I do like the exterior red color. For those that follow the automotive industry carefully, they may notice that there's something very similar or very familiar about the rear end of the B9 Tribeca. Specifically speaking, I'm looking at the taillights. The reason for that, if you look at pictures of some of the more recent Alfa Romeos, the same person who designed those vehicles is the person that designed the B9 Tribeca for Subaru. Now, generally speaking, Subaru products are quite reliable, very robust. They do have one thing all in common, though, is they do have a thirst, and I am talking about fuel. This truck is up for quite a fight. I have to say, the midsize SUV segment is chock full of hard-hitting competitors: Ford Explorer, Toyota Highlander, Honda Pilot, and I'm skipping a whole bunch. It does have most, if not all, of the attributes to make it a very interesting vehicle. I'm sure it will do well as soon as people get over the styling of the truck. I know that the more I look at it, the more I appreciate it, because it does actually stand out in a very, very crowded segment.